Today, we will explore the sensory energy, the energy that holds the capacity to make sense of the world around us through the five senses: seeing, smelling, hearing, touching, tasting. And also, we will explore the senses at a psychological level. What is the nature of senses? Senses are like gateways to bring in beauty, joy, and purpose into oneself. Senses are drawn towards what appears pleasing and move away from what appears repulsive. Senses have a tendency to hook us to pleasurable experiences. Raw sensorial experience provides short-term enjoyment and partial nourishment. Aesthetic and refined sensorial experience provides long-term enjoyment and fuller nourishment. Senses connect us to the world outside and brings in information. We see, we hear, we touch, we smell, we taste, and in the present moment, we get to know the nature of something. Senses play a critical role in a meditative process. In mindfulness meditation, senses are first used to bring us to the present moment. That is, be aware of the sounds around you. Extend your awareness and be aware of subtle sounds near and far. This brings us to the present moment, and senses are so precious. When we connect consciously through our senses, we are able to invoke the beauty we see around in the world within ourselves too. Seeing the different colors of the leaves, smelling the flower, seeing the dawn, seeing the different shades of the sky, and taking in the beauty that you experience around through your senses. This holds true to our home sweet home too. Simple things like the flower arrangements, the decor, the fragrance, the music that touches soul can invoke beauty in our house and in our hearts and mind. This applies to the food we eat. Approach, eat, and enjoy the food more mindfully, then the food nourishes us more. Senses are important to understand, add meaning, and process the world around us. However, when deployed with no discipline and boundaries, this can lead to overindulgence, mechanically experiencing something, short-term pleasures with long-term adverse implications. When this happens, it becomes a hooking, an obsession or an addiction to something that appeals to a sense. For example, overeating, overdrinking, etc., etc. Awareness that senses can be addictive and can make us numb and mechanical allows us to be more conscious of how we indulge and interact with these senses. Being in the now and here, consciously and slowly enjoying the stimulus we receive through the senses is a starting point. At a psychological level, this means holding a sense of ourself and taking good care of it. When the senses of self gets too high, then one experiences the emotions that are narrowing and limiting, usually as a result of comparisons and insecurity. One may experience jealousy, fickleness, fear, avoiding risks, hiding limitations, and being over-focused on others' perception of self. We will look at how can we be aware of what enters into our body and mind through these senses. These are powerful media that imports and influences constantly what's going on within us. We will now look at three practical areas with some solutions. First, how to overcome fear. Secondly, how to give senses some workout. And third, how to proactively build the senses. Let's start with how to overcome fear. Fear is a vibration. We shrink from the real or perceived danger. Our inner being cringes. We have fearful thoughts, often comes in our dreams too. The solution here is, every day spend a few seconds to widen your being, hear sounds far away, and see with peripheral vision. Breathe consciously and deeply into the region of the body affected by fear. Eventually, you will notice that fear loses its grip. Say an affirmation: I am protected, I am safe, I trust in life. Pick an affirmation that resonates with you the most. Now let's look at how to give our senses some workout. It is very important to know what is the trigger point of our desires. For example, a particular food item or an online addiction. Now, once we are aware of that desire trigger point, close your eyes. See an image of that particular trigger. Do a few times what I'm going to say. Make the image smaller. Make it move back, far and far, and take it into infinity and let it go. And repeat this a few times. Any sounds that are associated with this trigger, the desire activity, make the sounds lesser and lesser in your mind and move the sound to the infinity. Now let's look at how to proactively build these senses. The simplest way is to soak yourself in the nature daily. Sun, flowers, breeze, leaves, mountains, the beautiful sea, rivers. Soak yourself in the nature. Drop all the gadgets and experience the nature directly with your senses so that the healing property of the nature enters within you through your senses. Nature has a lot of medicinal plants, and even smelling and intaking them heals us naturally. Refine the senses. Keep in mind, the flip side of the senses is to become a hooking. Make choices that brings joy now and after. Joy that is natural and you will be proud of acquiring. This is what refines the sensory needs and keeps it within the right balance to produce positive impact on the overall being. Bring in play and enjoyment. Pursuing some hobbies of interest. Experimenting with new things, new approaches, and new ways. Learning some art form that is aesthetic and beautiful. This way, one can continue to provide positive and well-rounded stimuli to our senses. After all, they are so powerful transport media that imports and influences what goes on within us.